plus G equal our angle F. So I'm going to start off by doing a straight line. Oh, I lost my pencil. Oh, I got one right here. Score. All right. So to construct an angle, we're going to start off by doing a straight line. And since I'm making angle F, I'm going to make that point F. Note, I'm using angle E and G, right? So that means I'm going to go to all of these. I'm going to open my compass to some measure. I'm going to make a mark here. Compass is still that same measure. Make a mark here. Keep the arc the same measure. I'm adding it, so we have a long ways to go. So I'm going to make a big arc like that. But note, all I do is I have arcs that match all three of these. Now I just want to see how wide these mouths open up. So I'm going to start with E. Angle E opens up that wide. So I'm going to put that measure right on that arc that I have on F. So right now, if I drew a line through here, that would be angle E. I need to add G onto it, so I want to see how wide G opens up. Lock that into my compass. Add that on to where E would be. And now I have how wide G is. So G is that wide, E is that wide. Added those two measures together, and we would now have E plus G. Note, yours might look a little bit different, but as long as you have these marks on it, you're probably going to have full points. As long as you don't have like a line coming off here that's like a super short, like it's not even close at all. If you want to, there's no points taken off. I don't care. Feel free, if you like seeing the angles, if you're just like, if you want to show a little reference to yourself that this one is E and this one's G, feel free to write that in there. It's not necessary, I don't grade that, but you can also do it. I won't take points off because you did that. All right. This being said, what questions do we have from the homework? So let's see what our homework would have been. That's all construction 2 stuff. All right, what questions do we have from the homework? Yeah, Leah.
Can you construct 10?
Construct 10? Yeah, I hope so. So 10 is I have to make an equilateral triangle where all of our lengths are that length, correct? Mm-hmm. So let's see here. I'm actually going to do that on a blank sheet of paper. So for starters, what's the measure of every angle of an equilateral triangle?
60 degrees.
60 degrees. Do we know how to make a 60-degree angle?
No.
Not yet. We will. We will tomorrow. We'll know how to make a 60-degree angle. But right now, we don't know how to make the specific angle. And it doesn't tell me, copy this angle. So instead, all we know is a size. So what we're going to do, first of all, is we're going to create a straight line. I bet you got that down, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and take my pencil. We're going to make a straight line. Make sure it's at least as long as that line. Put my little point there. Then we're going to take our compass. I don't know how I lost my compass already. But we're going to copy this length down. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to paste it. So that's one side.
Right.
Well, all three of our sides has to be this length, right? Because I have it locked into my compass. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, all of my sides need to be the same length. So what I'm going to do is, well, this side is somewhere following this arc. So if I had a segment, can we picture that segment kind of rotating? It can go wherever it wants along here. Well, then if I do the exact same thing on the other side and go, okay, if there was a segment coming off of here, it could swing anywhere that looks like that. Well, if I have two segments swinging, where they meet, that must be the top of the triangle, right?
Yeah.
So the marks on this one should look like that. And this will just connect up here. And this will just connect right here. And now we have an equilateral triangle where all of our sides are the exact same length. I know for a fact because I made these specifically segments swinging that they hit through the top. Does that make sense? That's probably one that stuck a lot of people.
I just didn't know how, like, I could do it, but I didn't know how to technically.
Gotcha. In fact, this is how we're going to make a 60-degree angle. So when I'm asked to make a 60-degree angle, I'm just going to take one of these measures then. We're not doing it today, but just for future, if I ask for a 60-degree angle, we're just going to draw an equilateral triangle, and each angle is 60 degrees, so I created a 60-degree angle. Other questions from the homework? Yeah?
For this one, is it okay if we didn't do like full arc, but we have?
Yes. Because all we need is this X up here, right?
Okay.
So if you understood that, right, you just kind of eyeball it, and you're like, it's somewhere up here, you make a little mark, and just make sure it makes an X. Yep. And as we advance, we're going to do more of that stuff, where we just kind of, we know it's somewhere around here, let's just make our X instead of going all the way around. Other questions from the homework, though? Yeah.
Could you just do a 7?
7, yeah. So what's 7 asking us? 7's asking us to construct angle T, which is G plus H.
I think I got it, but it just looks,
It looked different?
it looks like
Okay. So really quick, T plus H, very quickly. All I'm going to do is I'm going to do a straight line. Put a line there. We are doing G plus H, correct? So I'm going to make a mark on H and G. Mine's going to be quick, so it might not look perfect at the end of the day. Well, we're doing G plus H. That's going to be a really big angle, right? So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to make a big mark here. I don't want to run out of space. Uh-oh. We got some slippage. I got too much stuff on my desk. Make sure I get that measure locked back in. So I'm looking for a big place where I can do the plus. All right, let's measure the marking of H. H is that distance, so I'm going to mark that. G is that distance. Mark that. And so it looks like it's almost 180 degrees. I think it was supposed to be 180 degrees. But mine's going to be a little bit off, but that's 100% fine. I'm really grading you on these marks. So it's almost 180 degrees. Okay? Other questions from the homework? Cool. Let's do some perpendicular lines. All right, let's take a look at what we got drawn. So from here on out, a lot of these are going to have kind of images of how you can do it. So let's start off with constructing a perpendicular line of a segment. So the basic idea of what we're doing is right here. But let's talk about how we are actually going to do that. So we're going to construct a perpendicular bisector of a segment. Is there a segment on there? No, so we're going to draw one. We're going to go, okay, if I'm given a line, and say we got 2 points on either end, and I need to bisect this line, this is how we're going to do it. What we are going to do is you are going to open up your compass past halfway. It's got to be past halfway because if we look at these circles, they need to intersect in 2 places so I can see where to do my straight line. So you're going to open up your compass past halfway. So maybe about here. Do you all kind of have that size locked into our compass? So just past halfway. That's all I'm asking you to do. Butt of the compass on the point, other end here. And what you're going to do is you're going to make kind of, not quite a half circle, but we're going to create enough of it so we can go past halfway. So what I'm kind of visually doing is I'm looking at halfway, and I'm making sure that my lines go past that halfway point. Does anyone need me to wait to make that arc? Or do we all have that arc? Keep that measure locked into your compass. And what you're going to do is you're going to do it on the other side. That's why it needed to be past halfway, because now I should be past that line. Now when I do the exact same thing, what I'm looking for are basically two x's. We have an x on top, and we have an x on bottom. And those are our x static marker spots for our perpendicular line. So we really only need this x and this x. So when we get better at this, we're actually going to start reducing the size of how much we're drawing to just these x's. This is all I need. Now, as soon as we draw these x's, draw our line through these x's, we have two important facts. A, this is perpendicular, and B, it is a bisector. So A, these are all 90 degrees. And B, this is a midpoint. I bisected the line and I came up with a perpendicular 90-degree angle. So that's important to realize both those things, because in the future, I'm going to ask for a 90-degree angle. You're going to do a perpendicular bisector. Other times I'm going to ask you to cut a line in half. You're going to do a perpendicular bisector. I'm going to ask for a midpoint. You're going to do a perpendicular bisector. So a perpendicular bisector does three things. It creates a 90-degree angle, it bisects the line, and it also creates a midpoint. Yeah.
Which line do you bisect?
This line. So if I call this AB,
Right, it bisects AB, not X Y.
it bisects AB. It doesn't bisect this. Well, if I draw from X to X, since it was the same size, technically both of those would be the same,
Right.
but we're never going to do that. Yeah. So if you wanted to on yours, it's tough on here, so I don't always do it. You could put little tick marks saying they're congruent. The problem with tick marks is because we're so conscious about what tick marks we're using for X's, that more tick marks can mess you up more than anything else. So just know that those two lengths are the same. I don't usually write these tick marks on it because it's just too much. All right, so that's drawing a perpendicular bisector. Our next one we're going to do is it's called raise a perpendicular. So when you raise a perpendicular, you're going to be given a line and a point on the line. So we are going to construct that. We're going to go, okay, I have a line and a point on that line. So draw a line and just put a point somewhere on that line. I'm going to kind of put it in the middle. What the problem is going to ask is it wants a perpendicular line through this point. We have to draw a perpendicular line through this point. And you can't just eyeball it. All right? To draw a perpendicular line through this point, we need to do this exact same thing. But note on this thing, we needed a point A and B on either side. So what you're going to do is kind of like what's guided here is you're going to open up your compass to some length and you're going to make a mark to the left and right of this point. Once again, it's not a fixed distance. Obviously, you'd be kind of silly if you go way out here and you don't even have a line there. So make it manageable. And also don't make it this tiny little thing where you can't see your work. So I'm just going to open a manageable amount. Make a tick mark there. Keep your compass that exact same distance. Make a tick mark there. But what we're going to do now is we're going to draw a perpendicular bisector of these 2 points I just created. Because remember, if you have 2 points and you draw a perpendicular bisector, it goes smack dab in the middle of them, creating a 90 degrees. Well, we created these to be the exact distance away from this point. So when I drop a perpendicular bisector down here, I'm going to have a 90-degree angle down that point. So that means we're going to do the exact same thing where we put our butt on those points, go past halfway. Make that mark, that arc, that's going to go past that halfway line so we can create our 2 x's. Keep your compass that exact same measure open and make it on the other side. Now I want to note, so if you look at what they did versus what I did, Theirs is the shortcut version. How many points do you need to make a straight line?
2.
We need 2 points. Well, look here. See how that's 1x? That can be your second point. So once again, if you look up here, that's 1 point, that's another point. I actually created 3 points. We don't need 3 points. So if you look at the picture, they just created 1x above. So you really just need that 1x. And then you can connect that point to that point. Why do I do this? Because we're just learning it. So I'm going extreme, and I'm using 3 points to create a straight line. But they should all be in that same area. So my guide is not wrong. It's just when we're first learning things, why don't we just do it the whole way? Yeah, Tate.
So when you do
Which step are we looking for?
the
Which step are we on?
I only have the 2 tick marks.
You have the 2 tick marks, so then we just got to open up past halfway, make a mark, flip our compass, make another mark all the way around. Exactly what we did up here. Does anyone else need me to see that, or me to show you that again? Me to see that again? You got that yet, Tate, or you almost? Good, all right, let's go to the other side. So let's talk about what we just did. This one is you were given 2 points, and you have to do a perpendicular bisector. This one, you're given a point on a line, and you have to draw a bisector through it. This next one, we are going to drop a perpendicular. That means we are going to be given a line and a point not on the line. So this time, it won't be on the line. So it's a point not on the line. The previous one was a point on the line. And then we need to construct a line perpendicular to the given line through that given point. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a line, just like it says we're going to have a line and a point not on the line. And just pick a point up here, anywhere. That's the line that's given to me. That's the point. I need to draw a straight line through this that creates a 90-degree angle. Well, just a quick reminder, the only way we know how to do a perpendicular line is if I have 2 points. And that is consistently how we're going to do that. We're always going to need 2 points on the line so I can drop a perpendicular bisector. Well, remember this one, I made a mark to either side, right, to create those 2 points? Well, a raised one is the same thing as when you drop one. We need to create these 2 points on the line. So even though this point isn't
Where
on...
did you get that one? That little stuff?
This one here?
Yeah.
I just drew it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you have to just draw it because it says that we're given a line and a point not a line. So we're
okay.
gonna pretend like I gave you a picture.
Okay.
We're just gonna create it. All right. When you had a point that was on the line, you opened your compass and then you made a mark here. You went over here and you made a mark here. Well, the same principle is going to apply here. I'm going to open my compass so I can go onto this line, and I'm going to make a mark on the right-hand side. I'm going to keep my compass open to the same size. I'm going to make a mark on the left-hand side. Well, now that we have these 2 marks, it is the exact same steps as this one, which is the exact same steps as this one. And remember, our goal once we have our 2 things is to open our compass to some length, past halfway, make a mark, go to the other side, make that mark. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to go past halfway, and we're going to make a mark. Now, this time, remember, we can go all the way around. Or if you think you get what's going on, you can just make the X on the bottom. So you can stop there, because now you have your 2 points. Just like the notes show, you can stop there. What I'm going to do, just for the sake of this is our first time doing it, I'm going to complete it if you're not sure why we can do that. But realistically, all we needed was this. For this one, that's all we needed. That right there is all we needed. Just to go a little further, I do have 3 points. But all we need to do is drop through these points. And we have a 90-degree angle that goes to that point that was given to me. Remember, if you're doing your homework and you forget any of this, you can A, watch the video that we posted. B, you can go to that website that's at the top. And I guarantee you go there, it's pretty well organized. I'll probably put, like I said, I'm gonna put a link to it on your answer guide. It's pretty well organized. If it's just like drop a perpendicular, you'll just click on drop a perpendicular and they'll show like this little video of how to do it. And you can just pause it at any step just to stay on top of it. All right, so those are our 3 things. First thing, if I'm given 2 points, I can draw a perpendicular bisector. If I'm given a line with a point, I can draw a perpendicular line through that point. And the last thing we had to do was, given a line and a point not on that line, I can drop a perpendicular to there. So be careful when you read the directions for the homework for what they're asking for. All right, the very last thing we're going to do together. Yeah, sorry.
When you're drawing the tick marks, like on the side, does it matter, like, it doesn't matter how big the compass is?
No, no.
It's just random?
But don't go crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like don't go way out here because then you have to go way, like make it really big. Yeah, just make it, and don't make it so small that you can't see where they are. Yep, but it's any distance that you kind of want. All right, the last thing we're supposed to do is we're supposed to construct a right triangle CDE with D being our right angle. So we're going to start right here. Angle D has to be 90 degrees. So we're actually going to start by doing angle D. We also have a length here, which is our CD, but the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create my 90-degree angle. So what we're going to do is we're going to just do a straight line. I'm probably going to put CD somewhere on there. So maybe we'll make this line at least this length with a little extra on it. You can always extend your line later on if it's not working. So I got there, and I'm going to put a point D right here. Remember, right now I'm thinking I'm going to make a right triangle somewhere on here. So I need to make a 90-degree angle that goes to this point. Well, that sure sounds exactly like this one. If you have a line and a point, how do you create a 90-degree angle? Well, I want to create a 90-degree angle. Tate, you okay? Yeah. Okay. I want to create a 90-degree angle right through D. So that means I need to open my compass up so I can make a mark to the left and right of D. So like that. And like that. Oh, mine slipped. There we go. So remember, I just opened my compass to some length. As long as it's the same distance on either side, you're fine. Do we all at least have those 2 tick marks? Okay. Then what we're going to do is you're going to open your compass past halfway. Now remember, all you needed is an X above or below. To go a little bit extra, I'm just going to do the above and below. Probably starting tomorrow, I won't do both of them. But for now, we can just do both of them. And once again, you just open your compass past halfway, make a mark on that side, go to the other side, and make an arc on the other side. And once you have that, just recognize that we're making a right triangle. So we're just going to go up with this line. We're not going to go down below. I think I should have moved this down, but that's okay. We'll figure it out later. All right, so this is my right angle of my triangle. I'll give you guys a second to finish your right angle. Do we all have a right angle? Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make that line CD. Well, the length of C to D is that long. So I'm going to come down here, make a mark, and I'm going to call that point C.
Is this from D?
What was that?
Is this from D?
Is this from D? Yes. Yeah, so I copied C to D. And I'll make that distance right here. And so those need to be the same distance. All right, now we need to figure out how I'm going to draw this line to here. They'll always give you a third bit of information. Remember when we have like angle, side, side, angle, side, 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 side? You need to know 3 bits of information. We have an angle, we have a side, and we're given another angle. So we have angle, side, angle that we need to construct. So we just need to construct angle C. So that means we're going to copy and paste our angle C, which means open your compass to some measure, make an arc, and then come down to C with your compass at that same measure, make that arc. So once again, you came up to C, open your compass to some measure, made a mark, you went down to angle C down here, made your mark, and now you kind of have to measure, how wide that angle can open. So how wide can angle C open at that one part? Well, it's that wide. So now we're going to mark how wide that is by putting our butt on the X there and making a mark there. Now angle C has to go through that line. And it goes through that X. And we're going to notice that maybe I didn't extend that other original line far enough. So that means we're just going to come back here and finish that line off. And say, okay, that must be my point. Any questions on any one of those steps? So if you think about this, one shape had everything in it that we learned. It had creating a 90-degree angle. It had constructing a length, and it also had constructing an angle. So that is basically, in a nutshell, everything you should know. It will also tell you all the stuff you don't know to ask questions about. All right? Any questions over anything we did today? All right, then the rest is your homework. That is that constructions worksheet number 2. Remember, I did provide blanks. It should be able to fit in there, but if you just write really big or it's too hard to put them in there, feel 100% free to just have a scrap sheet of paper that you just do all your work on. I also strongly suggest you take this out of your binder before you do them. If you're good and clean, it's fine, but sometimes it's just easier by itself so you can rotate. All right. Yeah.